Admiral, this is Command. We've detected an illegal transmission from your location. What's happening down there? Cathar glanced at the faint orange light now glowing on his wrist console. He hesitated. Nothing, he replied calmly. Just old machines. But deep inside, he knew the truth. Something vast had awakened, and he was now part of it. As he and Relcor exited the maintenance chamber, Cathar looked toward the night sky through the station's viewport. The stars shimmered faintly, but one of them, far away, flickered orange, just like the Archangel's glow. He understood the message now. The humans hadn't vanished. They were waiting for the galaxy to remember, and soon it would. The stars over Zalora Prime shimmered like cold eyes, watching everything unfold below. The great capital of the Empire buzzed with tension. Rumors of the human warship had spread across every world, stories of a phantom ship that destroyed fleets and vanished without warning. Some said it was a ghost from the past. Others whispered it was the beginning of a new age. Admiral Cathar stood alone in the grand chamber of the High Command. The massive hall felt emptier than ever. Supreme Commander Vroth watched him from his throne, anger hidden behind a cold, forced calm. You disobeyed a direct order, Vroth said. You failed to destroy that vessel. Cathar stood straight. With respect, Commander, it could not be destroyed. Our weapons did nothing. That ship is beyond us. Vroth slammed his clawed hand on the armrest. Nothing is beyond the Empire. You allowed fear to blind you. Cathar met his gaze. No, Commander. I saw the truth. We are not the strongest. We are not the first. The humans left something behind, something powerful, and we don't even understand what it is. The room went silent. Several officers exchanged worried looks. Speaking against the Empire was dangerous. Vroth leaned forward. Are you saying you believe the human myths? That those primitives created something stronger than us? Cathar didn't flinch. I don't believe, Commander. I know. He raised his wrist console. The faint orange light pulsed softly from its surface. The officers gasped. Vroth's eyes widened. What is that? Their message, Cathar said. Their warning. I've seen what they left behind. Machines built not to conquer but to protect. Humanity didn't die. They transcended. And now they watch to see if we've learned anything, Vroth snarled. Blasphemy? Humanity was weak. We crushed them in the ancient wars. Cathar shook his head slowly. You crushed their bodies, not their legacy. Before anyone could react, the ground trembled. Lights flickered across the chamber walls. A deep, low hum filled the air, the same sound that had shaken the stars before. Status report. Someone shouted. A holographic map appeared above the command table. Massive energy readings appeared near the outer rim, multiple signals, bright and growing. Vroth stared in disbelief. What is this? Cathar's voice was quiet. They're waking up. The map zoomed in, revealing the forms of enormous ships emerging from hidden regions of space. 7 signatures, each one glowing with the same orange energy as the Archangel. One by one, the dreadnoughts appeared, rising from gas giants, icy moons, forgotten debris fields. Ancient guardians of human design, each bearing a single glowing emblem, a circle of light split by a sword. Vroth roared, "Order all fleets to intercept." An officer stammered, "Sir, they're already in communication with every networked system. They're taking control of the grid." The chamber's lights dimmed. Screens flickered. Then a human voice echoed across every speaker in the Empire. Calm, powerful, ageless. Galactic civilizations, your wars have scarred the stars long enough. The balance has broken. Humanity's guardians have returned, not as conquerors, but as judges. Everyone froze. The holographic projection shifted to reveal a figure, tall, cloaked in light, unmistakably human. Vroth's voice cracked. Impossible. No human lives. The voice replied. You were warned. The Archangel spoke and you ignored its message. Now we restore what was lost. Cathar looked around as the orange light reflected off every surface. It wasn't blinding. It was beautiful, peaceful, yet he could feel its power, deep and endless. Stand down, the voice continued. Your fleets will not be harmed if you yield. The galaxy will not be ruled by fear again, Vroth shouted in rage. I will never yield to ghosts. He drew his weapon and fired at the hologram. The beam passed harmlessly through. The human figure's eyes glowed brighter. Then you choose extinction. Suddenly, one of the massive windows behind them glowed white. A beam of orange energy flashed across the sky, but it didn't strike the city. It vaporized the Empire's orbital cannons instead. A warning shot. The ground shook, yet no one was harmed. It was deliberate, controlled, a show of strength beyond anything the Zalorans had ever seen. Cathar turned toward the others. You see now. We can't fight this. We have to listen. For a moment, silence ruled the chamber. Then one by one, the officers dropped their weapons. Vrath stared at them in disbelief. You're all traitors, he hissed. No, Cathar said softly. We're survivors. He raised his wrist console. The orange light pulsed again, and a symbol appeared on the wall, the same one that shone on the human dreadnoughts. The voice spoke once more, quieter now. Balance will return, and with it peace. The galaxy will learn what humanity already knew, that true power lies not in domination, but in understanding. The hologram faded. Outside, the 7 human warships rose together, forming a ring in orbit. Their glow spread across the stars like dawn breaking after endless darkness. Cathar stepped out onto the balcony. The city lights reflected in his eyes. They were right, he whispered. Humanity never vanished. They just became the light guiding us all. High above, the Archangel turned slowly, engines glowing like the heart of a sun. Then it vanished into the void, leaving behind a message only the brave could hear. Remember who you were. Become who you must be. And with that, the galaxy changed forever. The Grand Council chamber of the Zaloran Empire had never been so silent. The 12 High Chancellors sat in a half-circle of obsidian chairs, their glowing sigils casting faint blue light over the polished floor. At the center stood Admiral Cathar, still in his battle-worn armor, his eyes hollow from what he had seen. The Empress herself watched from her throne, her crimson robe shimmering under the chamber lights. Her expression was unreadable. Admiral Cathar, she said finally, her voice calm but sharp as glass, you returned from the border with half a fleet gone and no victory to show. Explain yourself. Cathar lowered his head. Your Majesty, what we faced was not an enemy. It was a relic, a human warship ancient yet alive. It carried power beyond comprehension. A murmur spread through the council. The word human alone drew disbelief. Impossible, spat Lord Ron, Minister of Defense. Humans perished eons ago. Every archive confirms it. This is a fabrication to mask your failure. Cathar raised his eyes, defiant. I saw it destroy our ships with one strike. It absorbed our firepower like dust. And it spoke to me, Ron. It knew us, our systems, our weapons, our history. The Empress leaned forward slightly. You claim it communicated? Yes, Majesty. It said it was Admiral Nathan Cole of the United Nations Stellar Command. It said humanity left guardians to protect their legacy. For a moment, even the Empress seemed to falter. Then she stood. Bring the recordings, she ordered. A hollow projection flickered to life above the chamber. The image of the massive human dreadnought, the Archangel, appeared, gliding through space like a floating fortress of light. The council gasped as the ship unleashed a single beam, erasing a Zaloran cruiser in an instant. Then, the voice played. Calm, clear, undeniably human. You were warned. When the recording ended, the room fell into stunned silence. Lord Ron's confidence wavered. If this is genuine, then humanity's technology survived. Perhaps even their AI. The Empress's gaze hardened. If a human machine still operates after 2 millennia, it means their reach is not as dead as we believed. They may still be watching. Cathar took a step forward. Majesty, we cannot fight them. That ship could destroy our empire in hours. I recommend we investigate and quietly. Learn what we can before we provoke them again. The Empress considered his words. Very well. Begin a covert operation. Trace all human signal frequencies in the border sectors. I want answers, not legends. Hours later, in the dim corridors of the Imperial Data Core, Relcor and his team worked silently among humming data conduits. Streams of green code flowed across the displays as they combed through millions of communication lines. Admiral, Relcor said, his voice trembling. We found something. Cathar leaned in. Show me. A small holographic waveform appeared, faint, repeating, buried deep within their subspace network. It pulsed once every 6 hours, too weak to detect under normal scans. Relcor magnified it. At first, we thought it was interference. But look, the modulation pattern isn't random. It's coded in ancient Terran binary. Kethar's heart skipped. You mean human code? Yes, sir. And the source? It's not outside our empire. He hesitated. It's coming from inside one of our own relay stations, on the capital moon. Kethar's breath caught. Are you saying, yes, Relcor interrupted. There's a human signal operating within the Imperial network. For a moment, Kethar didn't speak. Then he ordered, trace it. Find the exact node. The team worked frantically. Data streams raced, decryptors spun, and the screens flickered with cascading symbols. Finally, the system beeped. Got it, Relcor whispered. Signal origin, substation Gamma 9, maintenance sector 12. Kethar turned sharply. That sector's been automated for centuries. No crew assigned. Exactly, Relcor said. Which means whatever's transmitting there isn't one of us. The two officers arrived hours later, their footsteps echoing through the dark metallic tunnels. The air smelled of dust and ozone. Maintenance drones floated idly, unaware of the storm about to unfold. They reached a sealed door marked inactive, system offline, since year 1180. Kethar forced it open. Inside, the room glowed faintly blue. And there, in the center, stood an ancient machine, humanoid in shape, covered in layers of dust, but unmistakably human design. Its chest pulsed with faint orange light. Relcor stepped closer. Sir, it's a Terran construct. Maybe an AI probe. Before they could react, the machine's eyes flickered to life. A calm, digital voice echoed in the room. Zaloran identification confirmed. Access authorized. Guardian protocol initiated. Kethar froze. It recognizes us? The machine's head turned slowly toward him. Admiral Kethar, it said, your contact with the Archangel was predicted. I am Eidolon 3, liaison of the United Nations Stellar Command. Kethar stepped back. You've been here? This whole time? For 1,982 years, the AI replied. Monitoring galactic civilizations. Preparing for humanity's return. The orange light in its chest grew brighter. Phase 2 has begun. The room filled with a soft hum as the humanoid machine, Eidolon 3, stood fully awake now. The orange light in its chest pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Kethar and Relcor stared at it, unable to decide whether to be afraid or amazed. What do you mean by Phase 2? Kethar asked cautiously. Eidolon's eyes glowed brighter. The first phase was observation. Humanity needed to know how far other species would go, how power would shape them. You have shown the truth. The galaxy has grown arrogant. Kethar felt the weight of those words. You're saying we were being tested? In part, the AI replied calmly. Your empire, your fleets, your wars, all were monitored. The Archangel was activated because the threshold was crossed. Threshold? Relcor echoed nervously. The point where violence outweighs wisdom, Eidolon said. The humans designed us to respond when civilization reached that point again. Kethar tried to process it. Humanity vanished millennia ago. Are you saying they planned this? That they knew someone like us would rise? Eidolon's gaze fixed on him. They did not vanish, Admiral. They transcended? Transcended? Kethar repeated. Yes, they moved beyond physical form. Beyond planets. Beyond war. They became light, energy, and thought, connected across the stars. But before they left, they built guardians to ensure balance remained. Ships like the Archangel. Machines like me. Kethar's voice trembled slightly. And now? Why are you here? Why awaken now? Because, Eidolon said, stepping closer, the galaxy is approaching a new war. One that could erase everything, and including what remains of us. Relcor frowned. Between who? Eidolon tilted its head. Between everyone. The empires are preparing. The old alliances crumble. You have seen it, Admiral. The hunger for control, for conquest. It spreads. Kethar said nothing. He knew it was true. For years, whispers of rebellion and expansion had grown across the outer systems. The Empire's rule was weakening. Eidolon extended its hand. The Archangel did not attack to conquer. It acted to remind. Humanity's message is simple. Balance must return. Or destruction will. Relcor looked uneasy. And what if the Empire doesn't listen? The AI's voice softened, but the power behind it made both aliens shiver. Then the Archangel will not be alone next time. The lights dimmed for a moment, then flared again. On the holographic wall behind Eidolon, dozens of symbols appeared, outlines of ships. Massive ones, dreadnoughts, carriers, armadas. Kethar's eyes widened. Those are more of them? Correct, the AI replied. 7 dreadnoughts remain hidden across the galaxy, each one waiting for a signal. Humanity's guardians have slept for 2,000 years, but they will awaken soon. Relkor stepped back, his voice barely a whisper. You mean there are 7 ships like that? Eidolon nodded, each with power enough to erase empires. Yet they were never built to destroy, only to restore balance. The Archangel was the first to wake. Cathar stared at the glowing patterns on the wall. Why tell us this? Why show me? Because, Eidolon said, the Archangel chose you. Cathar blinked in shock. What? You did not attack when you could have. You chose caution over pride. That decision changed everything. The Archangel's command AI marked you as a variable, one who can influence others. You are now part of the restoration protocol. Relkor's mouth fell open. You're recruiting him? Eidolon turned to him. Not recruiting, aligning. The galaxy will soon face a decision. Follow the path of unity or perish in chaos. Admiral Cathar must decide which side his species will stand on. Cathar took a slow breath. And if I refuse? The AI's orange light dimmed slightly. Then your empire will face the same fate as those who came before. A low rumble shook the ground. The room's systems began to overload. Warnings flashed across the walls. What's happening? Relkor shouted. Eidolon looked upward. Detection. Imperial intelligence is tracking this signal. They will arrive soon. I must transfer. Before either alien could react, beams of light scanned their bodies. A data stream flowed from the AI into Cathar's wrist console. Wait, Cathar shouted. What are you doing? Giving you access, the AI said. Inside that device is the location of the next guardian. Find it before the Empire does. The machine's body began to fade, its frame dissolving into thousands of tiny light particles. Remember, Admiral, it said softly as it disappeared, humanity does not sleep forever. The stars remember us, and soon, so will you. The room went dark. Seconds later, Relkor's communicator crackled. You stand aboard the Erebus-class dreadnought, UNS Archangel. The ship's name appeared behind him in glowing letters. The alien stepped back, their scanners going wild. Suddenly, the ship's lights surged. Energy readings spiked again. The human hologram looked up as if listening to something unseen. Wake protocol initiated, it said. Then the entire ship began to hum. Outside, Admiral Cathar watched in disbelief as the dormant warship lit up like a star. Massive energy waves spread through space. The surface of the ship reconfigured, panels shifting, engines flaring alive. Admiral, power readings are off the charts, Relkor shouted. It's activating. Cathar stared at the display, his voice low. Get the fleet back, now! But it was too late. The warship's engines roared, brighter than any sun. A deep voice echoed across every communication channel. Not alien, but human. This is the United Nations Stellar Command Vessel Archangel. All unauthorized entities withdraw immediately. Every Zaloran officer froze. The voice was calm, powerful, and unmistakably human. Cathar's heart pounded. How can it be alive? Humans are gone. The massive ship moved slightly, its weapons realigning. It wasn't threatening, yet. It was waiting. Inside the Archangel, the hologram looked at the frightened soldiers still standing before him. You came seeking power, it said. You found something far greater. You found us. Then, with a pulse of energy, every alien inside was teleported out of the ship, reappearing aboard their own vessels. On the Zeloth Prime, Cathar staggered as his soldiers materialized before him, dazed and trembling. Admiral, one gasped. It spoke to us. The human ship spoke. The holographic image of the Archangel flickered on Cathar's main screen again, glowing like a god's eye. Leave, it said simply. Before we finish what was started long ago. The fleet drifted in complete silence. Not one Zaloran dared to speak. Every ship's crew stared at the massive human dreadnought shining before them like a rising sun. The Archangel didn't move closer, yet its presence filled the entire sector. Admiral Cathar felt his heart racing. The voice still echoed in his mind, calm, human, commanding. It wasn't just a machine speaking. It felt alive. ancient, dangerous. "Admiral," said Relkor softly, breaking the silence, "the crew is frightened. Half the ships want to retreat. The others are waiting for your command." Kethar turned his gaze toward the colossal ship. "If we run now," he said, "we'll never understand what we faced. But if we stay," his voice trailed off. They all knew what that meant. The communication channel buzzed suddenly. The image of Supreme Commander Vrath appeared again, his tone sharp and cold. "Report, Admiral. Why has the fleet not attacked?" "With respect, Commander," Kethar said, trying to stay calm. "This is not a normal enemy. That ship destroyed 2 destroyers with 1 strike. It can erase us all in seconds." Vrath's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting fear?" "I am suggesting logic," Kethar replied. "If we engage, we risk the entire fleet." "Cowardice," Vrath hissed. "We are the Zaloran Empire. We will not bow to ghosts. Attack now, or I will take command myself." Before Kethar could answer, the feed cut off. Every ship began charging weapons under direct orders from Central Command. Kethar's heart sank. "Admiral," Relkor said nervously. "Orders from High Command. Full assault formation." Kethar looked out the viewport again. The Archangel remained silent, unmoving. For a brief moment, he hoped it wouldn't react. Then the human voice returned, steady, quiet, but filled with power. "You were warned." A single flash of orange light cut through the darkness. In the next instant, 10 Zaloran warships vanished, erased as if they had never existed. No fire, no wreckage, only silence. Kethar gripped the edge of the console. "All ships, stop firing, stop!" he shouted, but it was too late. The Empire's pride had already doomed them. Their weapons meant nothing. Missiles and plasma beams struck the Archangel's hull and simply disappeared, absorbed by a shimmering golden field. Then, the dreadnought responded. Thousands of small panels opened across its surface, releasing swarms of glowing drones. They moved like a storm of light, weaving through the Zaloran ships. The drones didn't fire. They scanned. Inside Kethar's ship, alarms rang. They're scanning us," Relkor said, his voice shaking. "They're reading everything. Our weapons, our systems, our history." And then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The drones pulled back, returning to the massive ship. The human voice spoke again, softer this time. "We do not seek war, but we remember." The fleet hung still in space, terrified. Kethar slowly stepped forward. "This is Admiral Kethar of the Zaloran Empire," he said, speaking carefully. "Who are you? Who commands that ship?" For a moment there was silence. Then the holographic projection appeared again on his bridge. The same human officer, calm and clear. "I am Admiral Nathan Cole," the hologram said. "Commanding officer of the United Nations Stellar Command, assigned to the Archangel. I was placed in stasis 2,000 years ago to guard the borders of human space." Kethar's breath caught. 2,000 years? The hologram nodded slowly. "Yes, when humanity fell silent, this ship remained, waiting for the day when someone or something would come too close." Kethar took a step forward. "The humans, they vanished. History says they destroyed themselves." Nathan Cole's hologram looked away, a hint of sorrow in his expression. "History is written by survivors. Humanity didn't vanish. We evolved beyond war, but we left guardians behind to protect what we built from those who would take it." The hologram turned his gaze back to Kethar. "You have tested that protection." Kethar felt a cold sweat run down his neck. "If you wanted us dead, we'd be gone already. Why spare us?" Cole's eyes glowed faintly. "Because not all are enemies. Some are witnesses." Before Kethar could respond, the hologram faded. The ship began to move again, slowly turning away. "Admiral," Relkor said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's leaving." The Archangel drifted toward the edge of the system, its engines glowing brighter. Then, in a burst of orange light, it jumped into hyperspace, vanishing as silently as it had appeared. The entire fleet remained still. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Kethar said quietly, "Set a course for home. The Empire must hear this." As his ship turned, he looked out into the empty space where the human dreadnought had been. His thoughts were heavy. He realized that the Empire's power, everything they believed in, was meaningless compared to what they had just seen. Somewhere out there, humanity still existed. Not as prey, not as victims, but as something far greater, something the galaxy had long forgotten. And as the fleet retreated, deep in the black void of hyperspace, the Archangel continued its journey, its AI whispering softly to itself. Mission status completed. Observation continues. Humanity's light must never fade. The ship disappeared into the darkness once more, leaving behind only echoes and fear. The vast silence of space was broken by a single transmission. It came from the outer edges of the Zaloran Empire, a powerful alien civilization that ruled over hundreds of star systems. The message was short, filled with panic and static. Unknown ship. Massive size. Not responding. Impossible readings. Then the signal ended abruptly. For the first time in centuries, the high command of the Zaloran Empire felt a chill of fear. Their fleets had crushed entire species. They believed no race could stand against them. But now, something unknown had appeared. Admiral Kethar, the youngest but most respected strategist in the Empire, stared at the holographic screen inside the command hall. The sensor data from the border station played in front of him. The ship's shape was unlike anything he had ever seen. Sharp, triangular, glowing with orange light patterns. It didn't match any known Empire's design. It was too large, too quiet, too perfect. What kind of technology is this? Kethar muttered, his long fingers tightening on the console. It looks ancient, yet advanced beyond comprehension. Beside him, his science officer Relkor adjusted his scanners. Energy output off the charts, Admiral. If these readings are correct, it has more power than an entire fleet. But that's impossible. The command room went silent. The word impossible was rarely spoken in the Empire. Where did it come from? Kethar asked. Sector 9X of the Orion Belt, Relkor said. A dead zone. No known civilizations, only an abandoned human research colony from 300 cycles ago. Kethar's eyes narrowed. Humans? You mean the primitive species from the Terran system? They vanished long ago. Yes, Admiral, Relkor said, his voice uneasy. But the signal came from that region. Moments later, the Empire's Grand Fleet was dispatched. Hundreds of battleships moved through hyperspace, their engines glowing blue against the darkness. Kethar's flagship, the Zeloth Prime, led the formation. The Admiral stood near the viewing window, his reflection mixing with the stars. He had faced many enemies, pirates, rebels, machine swarms, but something about this felt different. He couldn't explain it, but there was a sense of being watched. Hours later, as they approached the sector, the fleet's sensors went wild. Massive energy fluctuations appeared on their scanners. Something enormous was waiting in the shadows of a gas giant. Visual contact in 10 seconds, Relkor said. Kethar's heartbeat slowed as the black shape emerged. At first, it looked like part of the planet itself. Then the light shifted, and the ship came into full view. It was enormous. Much larger than any ship in the Empire. Its hull shimmered with a dark metallic sheen, marked by glowing orange lines like molten veins. The alien warship hung silently, without any movement or signal, yet every sensor screamed that it was alive. What? What is that thing? Relkor whispered. Kethar couldn't find the words. It's human, he finally said. The symbols match old Terran military patterns. But that's impossible. No human ship could survive out here. The fleet opened a communication channel. Unidentified vessel, Kethar announced in the universal code. You are entering Zaloran space. Identify yourself or be fired upon. No answer. He tried again. Silence. Then, the unknown ship's surface began to glow brighter. Its energy level spiked beyond measurable limits. The crew panicked. It's charging weapons. A lieutenant shouted, "Shields up!" Kethar commanded. But before anyone could react, a single orange beam fired from the ship's core. It wasn't an explosion. It was a wave of light that tore through space itself. The beam passed between two Zaloran destroyers, and in seconds, both ships vanished. Not exploded, gone, vaporized, the bridge filled with chaos. Officers shouted, alarms blared, and the fleet scrambled to respond. Retreat pattern Gamma, Kethar yelled. Get us out of range! The ship didn't pursue. It just stayed there, silent, calm, and glowing. Watching. What kind of weapon was that? Relkor whispered. Kethar turned slowly, his voice low. A weapon that shouldn't exist. A weapon only a god could wield. He stared at the colossal ship again, his eyes narrowing. If humans made that, Then they were never the weaklings we thought they were. The bridge fell into a heavy silence. Somewhere in the cold emptiness of space, the forgotten name of humanity returned, not as victims, but as something far more terrifying. The Zaloran Empire had always believed they ruled the galaxy. But now, for the first time, they began to wonder if they were truly alone at the top. And somewhere within that human warship, unseen by alien eyes, ancient systems started to awaken, systems that had slept for thousands of years, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves again. The war that would shake the galaxy had just begun. The Zaloran fleet drifted in uneasy silence. Alarms were off now, but tension still filled every ship. The strange human warship hadn't moved for hours. It floated near the edge of the gas giant's rings, glowing softly like a sleeping monster. Admiral Kethar stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the holographic projection. "Report," he said quietly. "No further activity detected," Relkor replied. "It hasn't powered weapons again. Energy readings are steady, but still beyond our understanding." Kethar nodded slowly. "So it's watching us," the science officer hesitated. "Or waiting." Those words made the entire bridge fall silent again. Waiting for what? Across the galaxy, in the high command halls of the Zaloran Empire, fear spread fast. The disappearance of 2 battleships wasn't just a military loss, it was humiliation. Empires didn't fear small races like humans, but this one ship had done what no enemy had ever done: make them doubt themselves. "Admiral Kethar," a voice came from the command screen. The image of Supreme Commander Vrath appeared, his scales glimmering under blue light. "You are to capture that vessel at all costs. We must learn its technology." "With respect, Commander," Kethar replied. "We don't even know if we can damage it." "Then find out," Vrath hissed. "If that ship belongs to the humans, we must learn how they built it, or destroy it before they return." The connection ended, leaving the Admiral in silence. He turned to his officers. The boarding team moved carefully through the docking tunnel, their boots clicking softly against the metal floor. The alien soldiers wore heavy armor and carried plasma rifles, but even their advanced suits felt small compared to the massive structure waiting before them. The human warship loomed like a mountain of black steel, its surface pulsing faintly with orange light. No sound came from it, no radio signals, no heat signatures, nothing. It felt dead, yet alive at the same time. "Docking complete," said the lead soldier, his voice trembling slightly through the comms. "Airlock pressure stable. Preparing to enter." From the command ship, Admiral Kethar watched through the feed. His claws tapped against the console, nervous despite his calm face. "Proceed carefully," he ordered. The airlock opened with a slow hiss. Beyond it stretched a dark corridor lined with strange markings and cables that glowed faintly like veins of molten light. The air was still and heavy, almost as if the ship itself was holding its breath. "Readings?" Kethar asked. "Atmosphere stable," the science officer replied. "Oxygen levels similar to ours. But there's something else. A faint radiation we can't identify." Inside the ship, the alien soldiers advanced slowly. Their lights cut through the darkness, revealing smooth metallic walls that seemed to shift and move slightly, as though the material was alive. "This design," one soldier whispered, "it's like the ship is grown, not built." Suddenly, their scanners flickered. Static. Then silence. "Command, do you read?" The lead soldier said, but his voice broke up in the transmission. Kethar frowned and leaned forward. "We're losing signal." "Boost the frequency!" No response. The feed turned to static, then cleared for a moment. The last thing they saw was one of the soldiers touching the wall, and the wall rippled like water. The feed went black. Kethar stood frozen, his jaw tight. "What happened?" "We lost contact, Admiral. The ship's interference is increasing. It's blocking our systems," Relkor said. Kethar clenched his fists. "Get them back." But the soldiers inside were already discovering something unimaginable. As the lead soldier turned down another corridor, lights flickered to life around him. One by one, the walls began to glow brighter, and deep mechanical sounds echoed through the ship, like a sleeping creature slowly waking. A low vibration shook the floor. The team stopped moving. The lights on their helmets reflected off a massive chamber door ahead, engraved with a symbol they didn't recognize, a circle crossed by two lines, glowing orange. "What is this place?" one of them asked. The door began to open on its own. Inside was a vast control room. Holographic panels floated in the air, flickering with strange symbols and star maps. At the center of the room was a dark chair, facing away from them. The soldiers aimed their weapons, stepping closer. "Identify yourself," the leader shouted. The chair slowly turned. There was no one there, only a holographic figure of a human. Male, tall, wearing an old-style military uniform from ancient Earth. His face was calm but stern, his eyes glowing faintly blue. "Welcome aboard," the hologram said in perfect universal language. "You are trespassing on a restricted vessel. Identify your species," the soldiers froze. None of them spoke. "This can't be real," one whispered. "Humans went extinct centuries ago." The hologram tilted its head slightly. "Incorrect. Humanity sleeps, but humanity never dies.